They never knew a child died to save their train. A train speeds toward disaster, hundreds of lives in the balance, and one father who could save them all, but only at the cost of his son. There's a story, a powerful modern parable that asks a question most of us could never truly answer. It's about a train packed with people, speeding through the countryside, just moments from a horrific watery grave, and they are completely, blissfully unaware. It's also about one man who could save them all, and the impossible, heart-shattering choice he had to make. A choice that would save hundreds, but cost him everything he held dear. Section 1. An ordinary day. Picture a father and his 8-year-old son. They have that kind of bond you see in old photographs, simple, pure, and full of love. The father is a bridge master, the man in charge of a massive swing bridge that pivots over a wide, churning river. His office is a small glass box perched high above the water, smelling of oil, steel, and the coffee in his thermos. On this bright, sunny afternoon, he brought his son to work with him. For the boy, this place is a kingdom. The bridge is a metal giant that obeys his father's commands. The trains are silver dragons, roaring past with a thrilling, thunderous power. The boy sits on a little stool, his eyes wide, listening as his dad explains the levers and gauges. His small hands occasionally reach out to touch a cool metal handle, only for his father to gently guide them away with a smile. They share sandwiches and an apple for lunch, their conversation easy and light. The boy's laughter echoes in the small control room, and the father looks at his son with a heart so full of love it feels as solid as the steel around them. He sees the future in those bright, curious eyes. He imagines a day when his son, grown and strong, might work beside him. It's a day just like any other, a perfect collection of small, happy moments. It's ordinary, and it's the last ordinary day they will ever have. Section 2. The approaching danger. The rhythm of the bridge is predictable, ruled by the strict timetables of the river and the railway. After lunch, the father checks his logbook. A large barge needs to pass, followed by the afternoon express train, carrying hundreds of passengers. With a familiar, practiced motion, he engages the controls. With a deep groan of metal, the immense bridge begins its slow, majestic pivot, opening the waterway for the ship. The boy, full of restless energy, watches the barge glide by. He asks his dad if he can go down to the observation catwalk to get a closer look at the giant gears and pistons. Seeing that the ship has cleared and believing there's time before the train is due, the father agrees. "Stay on the walkway and be back in 10 minutes, he says. The boy disappears down the metal stairs. The father turns back to his controls. A few minutes pass. He glances at his watch, then out the window. He calls his son's name. No reply. He calls again, louder, unease tightening in his chest. Then he hears it. A whistle. Sharp. Piercing. Too close. He checks his watch. 7 minutes early. His chest tightens. The train is coming fast. The bridge is still open. His son is missing. Something is terribly wrong. He bolts from the control room, shouting into the wind. His eyes scan the steel. And then he sees him. Not on the catwalk, down in the machinery. One small leg wedged in the teeth of the massive gears, trapped in the very mechanism that must move to lower the bridge. The whistle screams again. Time is almost gone. Section 3. The impossible choice. Time shatters. The world shrinks to 3 horrible realities: his trapped son, the open bridge, and the roaring train. The whistle shrieks. The bridge is still open. His son is trapped in the gears. The train is seconds away. The whistle is no longer a distant sound. It's a deafening, earth-shaking roar that vibrates through the entire steel structure. He can see the train now, a silver bullet bursting from the trees. He can see the windows, and inside, the flickering shapes of people. People reading, people talking, people dozing in the afternoon sun, 400 souls hurtling toward an abyss they cannot see. His mind is screaming. Every instinct in his body tells him to climb down that ladder and pull his son free. But he knows with a sickening certainty there is no time. The train is too close. The choice is laid bare, stark, and impossibly cruel. He can save his son. But if he does, he condemns every person on that train to a violent death as it plunges into the river. Or he can pull the lever. He can lower the bridge and guide the train to safety. But if he does that, the gears will turn and they will crush his son. He can hear his son's thin, terrified voice on the wind, a sound that rips his soul apart. "Daddy, help me!" He looks from his crying, trapped boy to the windows of the oncoming train. He sees a family laughing. He sees a young woman smiling as she stares out the window. He sees a small child, no older than his own, pressing a hand against the glass, waving at a world that is about to be saved or shattered by his decision. A raw, agonizing scream is torn from his throat, but it's completely swallowed by the thunder of the train. With tears blurring his vision into a nightmare of steel and speed, he stumbles back into the control room and shoves the lever forward. Section 4. The Unseen Sacrifice. The sound is unbearable. Not the roar of the train, but the deep, grinding groan of the colossal gears as they begin to move. For the father, it is the sound of his world ending. The bridge obeys, its massive span swinging deliberately back into place. It locks with a heavy, final thud just as the locomotive screams onto its tracks. The train thunders across, a blur of fleeting moments and anonymous lives. A businessman, annoyed by the slight delay, glances at his watch. A young couple shares a quiet kiss. Students in the dining car laugh at a joke. They're safe. They're alive. They feel the rumble of the bridge as just another part of their journey. Not a single passenger knows that just a few feet beneath them, a father is slumped over his controls, his body shaking with a grief so profound it has no sound. He watches the last carriage fade into the distance. They will all get to their destinations, greet their loved ones, and sleep safely in their beds. They will live out their days, never knowing. They will never know that their lives, their futures, their every tomorrow were bought for them in one horrific moment by a man they never met, at a price they could never imagine. Section 5. The Meaning of the Story. This powerful, heartbreaking story has been told for decades in sermons, books, and short films. But did it actually happen? The short answer is no. While some versions name the father John Griffith and the train the Memphis Express, extensive searches show no historical record of this event ever taking place. Its power isn't in historical fact, but in its purpose as a parable. It's an allegory designed to give a human face to one of the most profound concepts: the nature of sacrificial love. This is only a parable, but it points us to the truest story ever told: a real father, a real son, a real sacrifice, for you and me. The story is a deeply human illustration of a theological cornerstone, a verse from the Bible in the book of John, chapter 3, verse 16. For God so loved the world that he gave his one and only Son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish, but have eternal life. In the parable, the loving Father represents God. The innocent, beloved Son is a representation of Jesus. And the train, filled with unaware people absorbed in their own lives, represents all of us, humanity, hurtling through life, often oblivious to the dangers we face. The Father's agonizing choice helps us feel, on a gut level, the sheer cost of the sacrifice described in that verse. It translates an abstract theological idea into a heart-wrenching drama, helping us understand the depth of love required to make that choice, to sacrifice what is most precious for others who don't even know they need saving. This story makes us pause. It reminds us of unseen sacrifices that shaped our lives without us ever knowing, and it points us to the greatest sacrifice of all. For God so loved the world that he gave his one and only Son. If this story touched you, share it with someone who needs to be reminded of that love today. And subscribe for more faith-filled stories that reveal hope, sacrifice, and truth. The passengers on that train never knew. They went on with their lives, shielded by a sacrifice they could never comprehend. It leaves us with a final, lingering question. What unseen sacrifices have shaped our own lives? And how do we live in a way that honors that incredible, invisible price? For God so loved the world that he gave his one and only Son, John chapter 3, verse 16. If this story moved you, share it with someone who needs hope today. And subscribe for more stories that reveal God's love,